Okay, greetings and welcome to the Eccentric Perspective. I am your host, Blake Wally. Today, April 3rd of 2025, as it's also the day after Liberation Day. So, hope everyone had a happy day. Not so much with the markets. We'll get into that. So, it's going to be the big story, I suppose. What else is there to talk about? Well, I got several headlines, but of course, yeah, it's been a rough day on the market. So I hope everyone's doing okay financially and not panic selling anything yet. It's going to be some at least short-term turbulence. But, I am not an economic expert. I have no idea how this is going to drag out. But I'm going to try to cover it objectively from at least pros and cons from each perspective. We can try to figure it out in the middle, and we'll see. So, very exciting stuff. Let's take a look at the headlines today. Trump's tariffs, were they a terrible idea for the economy? Or, on the flip side, were they a terrific idea for the economy? How about Joe Biden's staff? Were they covering up his cognitive decline? And losing Wisconsin Supreme Court, was it catastrophic? And Cory Booker's speech, did it change the course of political history? And are leftists, are they lying about plans to cut Social Security? And CNN, should they have its broadcasting license revoked? And leftists, are they suffering from TDS induced mental health crisis? That many words on there, but we'll jam it in anyway. Okay, well, this is what I have on the table today, but feel free to chime in on the chat. Hello, Jane. Good to see you. Been a while. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, if you have any feedback, criticism, trolling, maybe breaking news, any of that sort of stuff, feel free to drop a line in the chat. I'm wearing my Made in the USA t-shirt today, but you know what? It wasn't made in the USA. It was actually made in Pakistan. But yeah, I guess that's kind of part of this whole Make America Great Again, bring our manufacturing back. There's a lot to get into. Why don't we just run an intro and we'll start jumping into all the delightful tariff talk, I suppose. So here we go. I'll see you on the other side of this quick intro. Okay, well, welcome back. And again, happy Liberation Day to everybody. Hopefully this will just be the worst of it, and it'll all get better from here. But I guess there was going to be some short-term pain. I did watch the entire speech yesterday in the Rose Garden. It was supposed to be historical, and perhaps it will be. It certainly is interesting. Trump kind of, kicked off basically a trade war with everybody, but it seems fair on the surface, and this could be potentially beneficial for all of us. But there is going to be this could drag out for a while. I don't know when exactly we're going to be brought back to prosperity. It certainly wasn't going to be overnight. And expected some short-term pain, and it was pretty tough. So, bad day for the market. I think it's the worst day in 5 years, not since the COVID lockdown and that big market meltdown has there been such a down day. hence the thumbnail for today, as things are crashing, people are selling, and yeah, we'll expect that. I don't know. We'll see if we'll get a bounce back tomorrow. I don't know, or maybe never. Maybe this is the end. But I mean, we're going to get dragged into this hole, I suppose, anyway, with the massive amounts of debt. But yeah, here we go. So, what is Trump's new Liberation Day? What to expect? Now, this was from yesterday. Little preview. President Donald Trump declaring that Wednesday will serve as the nation's Liberation Day, as he was anticipated to enact trade policies emphasizing America First mission, which his administration says will help end the U.S. reliance on goods made overseas. So unlike, you can talk a big game, but sometimes you actually have to do it. And he's doing it. There's only one way to find out if it'll work or not. And so he went and did it. Gotta give him kudos for that. Trump declaring tariff operation over and is touting a positive outlook, voicing optimism in his social media post. You can't walk it back yet. Got to keep running with it. So he's voiced his optimism. Oh, I just noticed I'm missing a couple of details from the broadcast. Yeah, please like and subscribe if you can. That would be terrific. Thank you. And what else am I missing? Logo. Okay, done. Bringing in. Oh, there we go. All right, looks a little. I knew something was missing. All right, took me a while. Okay, no big deal. Sidetracked. We have a positive outlook. I suppose long term. Obviously not today. So he says the operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. I suppose they're going to rip the Band-Aid off. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again. In all caps on Truth Social, as he announced his much anticipated reciprocal tariffs on more than 180 countries designed to reset global trade and return manufacturing to the United States. Of course, people were worried about the economic consequences as a result of a tariff war, and many countries expected to respond accordingly. But, I mean, these tariffs, they're only half as bad on other countries. So it's not equal. Like he was saying, if somebody's got a 25% tariff on the United States, we're going to put a 25% on them. But it isn't. It's more like half. We're going to try to bridge the gap because this country has been hemorrhaging money for too long. Here's the National Debt Tracker. American taxpayers are on the hook for this is $36 trillion as of yesterday. So how are we going to pay that all back? Certainly not going to be in our lifetime. But at least maybe we can stop this trend from continuing. Hopefully we can just write all that stuff off one of these days. But it's going to take some drastic measures to get us out of this hole. Or we just let our country be absorbed into the globalist collective. But I'm not all about that. I think the United States should stay relatively independent and take care of ourselves first. Maybe we can turn everything around. This is the only way we actually have a chance. So let's take a look. There's a good article here from the Epic Times. 7 takeaways from Trump's reciprocal tariff rollout. The new chapter in U.S. trade. So for decades, the United States has kept low trade barriers, promoting free trade agreements with minimal or zero tariffs. And those days are now over. Rates include a flat 10% levy, along with additional rates tailored to match each nation's trade barriers on America. And they target countries with high barriers. And so here's what I'm talking about on this chart. So it's not equal. So there's still an advantage here, but we are bridging that gap. So things are going to change, and we'll see how these countries respond. At some point they must know that we are getting pretty ripped off. It's a very unbalanced. While we're stacking up trillions of dollars in debt, we can't run this charity operation forever. So, okay, well, things are going to change. China faces a steep tariff hike. Canada, Mexico omitted because we've already got those tariffs underway already. And we'll see. Sometimes this is how you have to do things. When you run, Trump is taking a different approach. He's running the government like a business. So sometimes you have to take these kind of bold risks and see if they work. We know it's not working by not doing anything. But I guess it's to be expected that things did not work out so well, at least in the first day, as global markets have been plummeting. Actually, let's take a look at, here's Market Watch, because it's already after the markets closed 17 minutes ago. So the Dow officially down, 1679, almost 4%. S&P down almost 5%. NASDAQ got crushed, down almost 6%. So that's a big deal. Stock market rout feels justified given the regime change nature of the tariffs. Yeah, to be expected. So no time to panic yet. Even though the markets certainly did. Everybody needs to hold strong and give this a chance. And what do Trump's tariffs mean for your groceries? Well, let's check this out. Just a quick clip from Good Morning America. Just a little quick video they did from the grocery store to show you how this will affect your life potentially. Here we go. There's Michael Strahan there.
All important groceries will be affected as well. Matt Gutman is at a grocery store in Los Angeles. And Matt, tell us what you're seeing there.
Hey, good morning, Michael. When it comes to groceries, economists project that if consumers are made to absorb the entirety of the 20% import tariffs on Europe, things like this, olive oil from Italy, $20 now, it'll be up to $24, and something else that folks are really...
Okay, that's not the end of the world there. I love my olive oil, but I can, afford a bottle of olive oil lasts a few months. It's a few extra bucks. It's not that bad. Or is there an American alternative that you can turn to? And it'll help American businesses. I don't know.
Not going to like alcohol could also rise by that 20% as well, but not just imported alcohol.
A bottle of French wine or Italian wine is going to go up a few
from
bucks
Europe,
too.
But also domestically produced alcohol because of the tariffs on aluminum and on glass. Something else. Seafood. The USDA says about 80% of seafood consumption in the U.S. comes from high tariff countries. India, Indonesia, China, Canada, Vietnam. So that could rise. But there are a couple of bright spots. The folks here at the Sabzi market say that meat, poultry, eggs, dairy, they're likely not going to change much. Also, take a look at this.
Got plenty of food and farmland in this country. So I don't think anyone's going to starve, but this will affect, certain people.
Produce display here, and despite the tariffs on Mexico and Canada, the folks here at markets like this don't expect produce to rise much more than a couple of percent. Another bright spot, inventory. Managers of stores like this say that their vendors say they have plenty of inventory that will likely last for months, and consumers won't start to feel the pinch for several months down the road. But economists say the folks that will start to feel the pinch the soonest are low-income families, Robin.
They will be the ones, but thank you for pointing out the bright spots. Because we're really
Okay, well, there you have it. So few of the goods will go up in price. It could also, it's going to make bigger impact, I suppose, if you're trying to buy like a foreign car, is that 20% tax on your olive oil is not such a bad thing, but 20% on a car could be bad. Unless they're manufacturing in America, then they would be avoiding the tariffs. So this could play in our benefit, but it's going to take some time. So there is going to be some short-term pain, that is for sure. Oh, actually, speaking of cars, Ford has rolled out employee pricing to all Americans effective immediately, just hours after the Trump's tariffs hit. They're giving the same deal our workers get, so you're getting an employee discount on Ford cars if you're into that and into the market, because you might get priced out of buying specific imports. So I don't know, but maybe this will all help Americans overall. If we're buying American products and supporting American manufacturing, this could be a win-win in the end, but we shall see. It's basically day one of the Trump tariffs, trade war, Liberation Day, and who knows, maybe in a couple of years from now, you'll be celebrating. Yeah, I remember it was bad the first day, or the first week, the first month, I don't know. But then it recovered and we started to bring America back in a big way. But risk reward, I suppose. Let's see. Trump stokes trade war as world reels from the tariff shock. Let's just go over some of the headlines. They'll probably make it a quick show. I am not an economic expert by any means, but I'm just going to cover it from multiple angles and let you guys decide for yourselves. Including, I'll be running some of the leftist outlets like Raw Story. Markets are not healing. CNBC host snaps at Trump comment as Wall Street reels. What were they expecting? You can either do things, more of the same. It's like the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Or you can do something. And this was a bold maneuver, certainly. But you've got to try different things. You got $37 trillion or $36 trillion in debt. It's, what are the options? Anybody have better ideas? I don't know. Certainly worth a chance, I think. Cenk Uygur obviously disagrees. Here's why he thinks that Trump believes. He says he's always believed for Trump, if you have tariffs, you won't need the income tax. And that's also a potentially beneficial thing. We didn't have the income tax before 1913. And we were able to make enough money. And as Trump has outlined, they used to have so much money, they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't set up some special counsel or whatever. You had so much imagine that if Congress had so much surplus money and they had to figure out how to spend it from all of the tariffs. So now that was 100 years ago. Is that going to work today? One way to find out, and we're doing it. He says other countries enabled him by folding to every bluff on tariffs, so he thought there would be no consequences. And this is an excuse to say we don't have to pay for the $4.5 trillion, now $6 trillion tax cuts. According to Cenk, none of this is going to work. The tariffs are not measured to build manufacturing. They're so extreme, it can't help but lead to economic calamity. And no, tariffs don't magically make income tax or corporate taxes go away. This is magical thinking. Well, yeah, I guess we all have an opinion, and I don't know. I can't say that he's wrong, but I'm saying maybe it was worth a shot, and we'll find out, but it's going to take a while. We had problems by, removing our manufacturing base and being way, relying too much on, a country like China, especially when it came to drug manufacturing. Like we're running out of supplies and we're dependent on other countries. It doesn't make any sense. Why aren't our workers manufacturing our own goods here at home? Trump has been very critical of a lot of these trade deals and seeing so many jobs just vanish overseas. So this is a step in that direction to fix it. Okay, more criticism. We've got Republicans panic over the Trump tariffs. And last time they lost the House and Senate for 60 years. So maybe we have to look at history. He says they're not only bad economically, they're bad politically. This is from Rand Paul. Both him and his father, who I greatly respect, are critical about this tariff idea. In fact, why don't we just run a clip here from Rand Paul on the mistake of imposing tariffs. So let's take a look at the other side, or actually just somebody on the side, respectable opinion from a libertarian perspective. Let's see what he has to say.
Senator Paul, we enjoy having you on Rising quite frequently. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you're someone who has Trump derangement syndrome. So why is it that you think this tariff policy is perhaps misguided or perhaps should not be the purview of the executive branch rather than Congress?
On many fronts, I'm a supporter of the president. I'm a supporter of the president's looking for waste and abuse, cutting out, limiting the Department of Education, et cetera. I like his cabinet. But on tariffs, I think it's just economically, it's a fallacy to think that it will help the country. Tariffs are a tax, and if you tax trade or if you tax anything, you'll get less of it. We know by looking at the history of the last at least 70 years or so in this country, that as international trade has increased, so has the prosperity of our country. Really, so has the prosperity of the entire world. About 100,000 people escape poverty every day as we speak. It's the most extraordinary thing that's happened in the history of mankind, and it's really from capitalism and from international trade. So the people who are for tariffs are just wrong. For example, with Canada, if you put a tax on things coming in and out of Canada, what you'll find is it just leads to higher prices for consumers. There are estimates that cars may increase in price by about $10,000. And then before we cast aspersions at Canada, we should understand that Canada buys more stuff from us than China, plus Japan, plus England, and plus Germany. So Canada buys more from us than we do from 4 large countries. So trade with Canada has made us prosperous and makes Canadians prosperous as well. It's a win-win situation. The other reason to be opposed to this, though, is the Constitution says taxes originate in Congress, and more specifically originate in the House of Representatives. This tariff or tax will originate with the signature of one person. That's not what our founding fathers wanted. They didn't want the executive to have any kind of power like the power to tax. They feared the power to tax, and that's why they gave it to the House of Representatives and to Congress.
Of course, the House of Representatives haven't done a very good job as far as running a budget for a long time, so I don't know, can't really trust them either. But drastic times call for drastic measures, and here we are. So again, do more of the same, which isn't working, or do we try this bold new strategy of reciprocal tariffs? And we'll find out. And there will be some pain. So anyway, that's just part of the risk. Of course, the left is going to freak out no matter what. But I mean, how do you spin that? The market's down quite a bit. So yeah, worse than the worst case scenario. Stock market nosedives after the Trump tariff announcement. Well, guess that was to be expected. So anyway, so there we go. We're trying to hear from both sides. And again, it's day one. So it's easy to play a Monday morning quarterback and say it's not good. But give it a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. We shall see. So we're in it. Okay, well, let's move on. So I guess I don't really have an opinion yet. I guess no one does. We can't tell. It's like like an NFL draft, right? You're trying to draft players, but it takes a few years before you figure out, like, did it actually work? Were they actually good decisions? Some things look good at the time, and then some things look good into the future and how things actually develop. So there we are. So going to those first couple of topics here, Trump's tariffs, are they terrible or are they terrific for the economy? well, if you're going to judge it by a day, it looks terrible. But hopefully it'll look terrific looking back at some point in the future. We'll just have to wait and see. All right. Well, let's move. Let's take a look at the next subject here. Biden's staff, were they covering up his cognitive decline? Kind of covered this, but it is gaining steam again. Still a hot topic, as this was pretty scandalous stuff. So Biden's ex-chief of staff is now spilling the beans on his mental decline. So he's only been out of office here for a few months. He's already got a book written. Says Biden couldn't grasp basic concepts, fell asleep in debate prep, and thought he was the leader of NATO. So for all the criticism on Trump, at least he's aware of what he's doing. Unlike what happened with Joe Biden. So the former chief of staff has opened up. Ron Klain was there from 2021 to 2023, and then came back to help him prepare for his debate in 2024. It's quoted that the president had no idea what was going on. And during debate preparation, Biden reportedly left and then fell asleep by the pool. Like, yeah, I'm just going to step outside for a minute, get some fresh air, and then boom, asleep. So, not good. Constantly was he looking perplexed. And it was a big mess. And then who knows who was actually running things. Biden, the puppet president, who was pulling his strings, who was signing his documents. Klain wondered half seriously if Biden thought he was president of NATO instead of the U.S. Just had no idea what was going on. So, but yeah, seems to be a big cover-up going on. They knew he was out of it and covered for him anyway. Some of his closest advisors believed what they wanted to believe. So I guess there's your option. Thankfully, we didn't get stuck with 4 more years of that. And they'd probably still be pretending like he was all good. Wouldn't see that book come out. Certainly not while he was still in office. Absolutely not. What else? And Jake Tapper also was co-written a book. So soon. Ridiculous. It's very scandalous. So they might have to do an investigation on all of that too. But anyway, okay, well, we got a lot of odds and ends. Would not say it's a heavy news day. That's cool. We'll do a quick show. What else do we have? Losing Wisconsin Supreme Court. Was it catastrophic? Here's out of the Federalist, a post-mortem on conservatives' costly loss in Wisconsin. But was it that bad? Elon spent like $20 million. And this could have some consequences in the next, in the midterms. If they're able to redraw things in Wisconsin. I don't know. It's got to be a reckoning for the Democrats. But I don't know. People are certainly worried about this and invested heavily in all of that. So liberals ended up winning anyway. But I mean, they just kind of kept the majority that they already had. So nothing really changed that dramatically. So after a bruising defeat in Wisconsin's Supreme Court election, Wisconsin conservatives were mired in the usual questions, second guessing, and what ifs. And Tuesday's loss was a big one for several reasons. But I mean, the results were basically the same. But it was a price of losing the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history is immense. The left will control the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and it means a long line of Wisconsin's conservative reforms are now in peril. And as expected, Democrats and their corporate media mouthpieces are pounding the overheated narrative that swing state Wisconsin voters have rejected MAGA policies. I don't know so much about that. as the Democrats, I think, have like about a 20% approval rating. So I don't know so much how bad this is really going to be, but maybe I'm out of the loop here. It's one state, not that big of a swing state. Yeah, maybe they pick up a couple extra seats in Congress. 2028, or is it 2026? Yeah, it'll be 2026 for the midterms. So anyway, I don't know how much to get into with this. I mean, I guess one thing that was really important is that they voted for, they were good on voter ID, which I think was one of the most important things. So Elon knew that it was going to be a long shot to win the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, and he knew his involvement in the race would bring more violence against his companies, but he fully committed his money and time anyway. It's weird, and it's a lot of billionaires battling there too, funding this stuff. So you had Elon versus George Soros, but Elon was even more involved, including making several speeches, going out there campaigning. They put in Scott Pressler, but even then they knew it was going to be they were going to be heavy underdogs, which I'm a little puzzled by. That there would be that big of a turnout for the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. So Wisconsin voted to constitutionalize voter ID, but then elected a Supreme Court justice who challenged voter ID. So I don't know. So, I mean, that was the win to me. It would have been bad if they, voted against having voter ID, because then you could never trust anything out of Wisconsin. So I don't know. There's good and bad to take away from that. I was trying to ask Grok about this and asking what was the biggest reason Republicans lost in this battle. Was it abortion, which could be seen as that usually riles up the leftists to go vote in droves. But Grok doesn't think that fully explains the loss. That's usually a toxic issue. But if this, I guess the idea is, if this Republican Supreme Court guy, if he was major, strong against abortion, 100% against it, then that would fire up the voters. And that's pretty much you're not going to win that election. That's just how it is. Without getting into the details of why it's wrong or not, it certainly is the most emotional driving issue for most leftists these days. But anyway, so that was the loss. They have to take it. And we'll see what kind of consequences that may have as they redraw districts and perhaps pick up a couple of extra seats next year and have a House that's going to be against the MAGA and Trump agenda. But we'll just speculate for now. All right, well, let's move on to the next topic. So we got Cory Booker's speech, and did it change the course of political history? Interesting tweet here from Sean Farash. Did anyone ever figure out why Cory Booker was filibustering? And it wasn't really an actual filibuster. It was just like a big speech that, broke a record for a filibuster. But was it really a filibuster? What was it really about? One from Stephen Miller. Cory Booker held the world's longest filibuster in defense of illegal alien gang members and terrorists. Today's Democrat Party. Cory Booker spoke for over 24 hours straight, but didn't condemn vandalism, arson, or terror attacks on Tesla vehicles and dealerships by Democrats, because he must have run out of time. About Jimmy Fallon, Cory Booker is speaking for 24 hours straight because he's upset Elon is taking Social Security away from dead people. Got to admire his commitment to the Democrat base. I mean, what was it really? I mean, some people were praising it, including Frank Luntz, the famous pollster. Perhaps, in this opinion, the absolute dumbest take on Cory Booker's filibuster to nowhere. Says it may have changed the course of political history. Let's take a look at this clip from Big Frank.
But are they energized in running in a circle and fighting with each other? Or are they energized in a direction?
They're going crazy right now. And they're going crazy because they don't see leadership in their own party. And I want to emphasize what Cory Booker did over the last 24 hours may have changed the course of political history. I watched a lot of it. I listened to words. I listened to phrases, how he presents himself. Did he criticize Donald Trump? Of course he did. But he struck the kind of tone that grassroots Democrats are looking for. He gave them a reason to fight. He gave them a reason to stand up and say, this is my country too. Of course, every Republican watching will say, this is nonsense. But he's not speaking just to Republicans. He's speaking to Americans. And what I saw over the last 25...
The Americans that showed up in droves to defeat the Democrats in November just a few months ago. They rejected the Democrat agenda. So what is he up there doing? He's just big spectacles, political grandstanding.
5 hours absolutely blew me away. And just as you sometimes make projections or predictions, I'm going to do one right here. That speech puts Cory Booker as one of the leaders for the Democratic Party.
Wow.
2028, I'll go even further.
Well, I would agree with that. That's kind of what it is. He's posturing himself as a presidential frontrunner for the Democrats, who really don't have a lot of options at this point. It's basically more of the same, whether it's Kamala or Tim Walz or Pete Buttigieg. That's really about it. I think those are your top three for now, until something else emerges. Hopefully they can, reinvent themselves, but I don't know who's going to take the reins. Or is it going to be AOC? Are they shifting more to the left? But that hasn't been a winning message. But let's continue.
Further.
Uh-oh. We have an emergency alert out here in Tennessee. A little tornado warning. Sorry for the interruption there. Okay, that's over with. So, all right.
If you ask Democratic senators right now, would they rather have lead them over the next 3 years? They would choose Cory Booker over Chuck Schumer.
Okay, well, that's also significant. And Chuck Schumer is a dinosaur, and it's time to go. And certainly Booker is younger and fresher and more ambitious, and perhaps solidified himself as a front runner. But, as far as the speech, it really was much to do about nothing. In fact, I asked Brock about that. I said, what can you tell me about the Cory Booker speech? Is there a worthy cause, or is he just posturing himself as the new leader of the Democrats and hyping up a potential 2028 run? And Brock said, let's see, he broke the record said previously set by Strom Thurmond. He says, unlike a filibuster that's aimed at blocking specific legislation, Booker's speech was a broader critique of Trump's administration, focusing on policies like cuts to Social Security, education, healthcare, and immigration crackdowns, and championed a call to action to an unprecedented threat from Trump's agenda. So it's just a lot of empty fear-mongering and criticizing fellow lawmakers for not opposing Trump's nominees and invoking historical figures like the Founding Fathers, civil rights leaders to underline the urgency, and read constituent letters to highlight real-world impacts. Okay. So is it worthy cause or posturing? It's likely both. So I guess that's really all that was there. Then I asked him, what are the top 10 most noteworthy moments from the Cory Booker's filibuster? And what were they? Well, that he broke Strom Thurmond's record, so good for him on that. Although there was no cause. Strom Thurmond was filibustering against the Civil Rights Act, whether you believe in it or not. That was actually aimed at legislation. What else was there? John Lewis as the moral anchor. He opened and closed with tributes to John Lewis. Good Trouble as a call to action. He was tearing up after 24 hours. Okay, let's see. His constitutional heartbeat. So I guess this is one of the highlights at about the 20-hour mark. He says, "Where does the Constitution live? On paper or in our hearts?" Okay, that was one of the highlights. Reading constituent pain from veterans, students, and immigrants that may be hurt by cuts to Medicaid, Social Security. Forgiving Thurmond. Team effort with Democrats. Physical feats and prep. You got to give him credit that he stood the entire time with no chair, no food, just water refills, and had muscle cramps, I can imagine. Yes, and he talked about John McCain's healthcare vote. Praise for Chucky Schumer. And what else? Concluded with Lewis again. So in 25 hours, these are the only highlights that even Grok could pull up. So the moments blend stamina, symbolism, and substance. Booker's critiques spanned Trump's cuts, Musk's efficiency push, and Democratic erosion. Whether it shifts policy or just spotlights resistance, its notoriety lies in its sheer audacity and emotional heft. So what stands out to you might depend on if you see it as a principled stand or political theater, because both views have traction online and in coverage. Absolutely. So there you go. Here's your update on the big Cory Booker historic speech about nothing. Like a Seinfeld episode. Okay, well, what else we got? 42 minutes in. I think I'm going to get this show done in an hour. That's good. All right. Okay, a few other odds and ends to wrap up. Well, speaking about leftists and Social Security, are leftists lying about plans to cut it? We can also tie in Wisconsin because we do have former governor with Scott Walker kind of playing the is it the Scott Jennings role on CNN, pushing back against who is this? Abby Phillips. That's what it looks like. So during a segment on CNN about the state's Supreme Court election, Abby Phillips straight up lied, claiming that Elon Musk and Doge were targeting Social Security. And they do. They push this hoax quite a bit. And it's the fear-mongering for their base to get all riled up. Oh my God, Elon and Trump, they're taking away your Medicare. They're taking away your Social Security. Nope, not true. And Scott Walker wasn't having it and schooled her on the show. So let's watch this. Here we go.
He came to the state. He talked about cutting Medicaid, Social Security through Doge, bringing those issues up.
Actually, he never talked. He explicitly said in Green Bay that he would not cut Social Security.
Well,
that's exactly what he said.
Talked at his rallies.
No, other people said about that, but I was there. I watched him. Okay. He did not say he was going to cut Medicaid.
Other people at his rallies who work for Doge, who work for Elon Musk's organization, talked about those issues.
No, I was at the rally. Not a one of them said that.
Do you
That's
think
what
there are
protesters said, but nobody.
Thank you for calling it. Yes, if you talk to the protesters, they are all misinformed from listening to hacks like Abby on CNN or on MSNBC or NPR. So many of them keep saying this, that the Doge is trying to make cuts to vital programs, but they are not. So good on Scott for calling it out.
There actually
Do
said
you think that there are risks here?
there are.
for
If people believe
Republicans
the lies that
in
people are
those
saying
issues
about that.
being
But
associated?
that's not at all what they
with us?
said. If people believe that Medicaid and Medicare is going to be touched, that's just a flat outright lie. What he talked about are people who are over 120 years old,
Well-
who clearly are not alive.
well, the reason I brought it
getting
up is-
Social Security or Medicaid.
Okay, well,
that's
let's
totally wrong. I think
just to
Democrats
sort
even
just to
believe
sort
that.
this out. The reason I brought this up is because the claim here is that there's massive, widespread fraud, and that's all they're addressing. That's obviously a disputed claim because it's not true that 120-year-old people are getting Social Security checks. The checks stop at a certain point automatically because those checks and
But those
balances
Social
are
Security
already in
numbers
place.
get counted for various parts of the federal government. So they count, they don't get a benefit directly to those people, but they count for money that gets allocated to different departments in their budget. And they shouldn't be. If somebody is no longer alive, they shouldn't be able to count that
I
as
guess
an
my
allocation.
fundamental question was, what are the risks here of Elon dabbling in elections for Republicans going forward?
Well, again, I think in the end, he's going to have to continue to make the case. Part of the reason why, when we talked about our recall, what flipped things for us early on in that recall process, Time Magazine called me Dead Man Walker. And the reason was because all the narratives coming out from the press, coming out from the left, were about all these horrible, egregious things. Once we started to give examples of things we were actually doing, not the things the press said, not the things that our opponent said, but the things that we were actually doing, when we ended up going before the voters in the final election in the recall, we actually won by more votes than we did. So I think that what's paramount for him or anyone else aligned with him is keep giving actual examples of what they're doing. Set aside things like Social Security and make it abundantly clear that that's not being touched. But if there's waste, fraud, or abuse, spell it out, make the case, and bring it to the voters. Governor.
Okay, well done there. Yeah, usually it's Scott Jennings pushing back. This great clip. He's put lots of good highlights up there. His little back and forth with Abby and whoever's on the CNN panels. But it's good to get him out of the bubble and to get some different perspective and to call back, to call out the hoaxes that they often run with. Okay, well, here's a tweet from Scott Jennings. Turns out when you die on every 80 to 20 hill, you wind up at roughly 20% approval. Who would have known? And it's funny because even CNN has got to admit this. Democrats in Congress now have a 21% approval rating. I mean, that is astonishing. But I think the average leftist actually thinks that they still want to go further left, which is frightening. They're not realizing the error of their ways. Instead, they're going to embrace more of the radical elements to get even more extreme. I guess they just can't admit that they've been wrong and misled over these years. Continue to believe the insanity. So we'll tie that into the next story. At CNN, should they just have their broadcasting license revoked? This is from Rob Schneider. It says the Democratic propaganda machine CNN should have their license to broadcast revoked. Here they are, caught red-handed or orange-handed, using another filter on the president. They used they were well known for using this filter on Joe Rogan when he had his COVID, and they were trying to make him look sick, and they were trying to make this big case that ivermectin was like a horse dewormer, which it can be used as that, but saying that it wasn't safe for human consumption. And they made him look green on camera to make him look sick. Well, they did the same thing, except they ran an orange filter on Trump to make him look way exaggerated on the orange, versus you can see on the left that Trump is in his normal hue, and here he is being oranged up like he just got spray tanned. So let's take a look. Here we go, side by side. But this is how they get these little subtle things that they do to manipulate their audience. There's the orange man dad. And they really have to, these are like little dirty tricks that they pull. So they are a flaming propaganda outlet. And I don't know if they need their license revoked for that, but maybe for several reasons, if you want to lay out that case, they have a lot of problems. But at least, they've done, well, I don't know, what they've changed their leadership. I do like the Scott Jennings edition. They need more sane voices on there if they can. They've gotten rid of some of their more radical elements. Still have a tremendous amount of work to do. I don't know who still watches them. I don't know if they'll ever get their credibility back, but they're still there. Weaker than ever. Okay, what else do we have? How about, I guess the last story I have, leftists. Are they suffering from TDS, mental health crisis? They certainly are. And a lot of it's induced by these terrible propagandists. We should apologize or something. Not holding my breath for that, but I just have a few highlights, I guess, just for a little filler. Since this was a slow news day of sorts, let's just go over the latest TDS examples, although this first one, I believe, is just a parody, but it's pretty funny. So let's check this one out. Okay, here we go. Let's run clip.
I'm in debt. I'm obese. I'm addicted to anime porn. I live in my mom's basement. And I'm confused about what gender I am. Now, let me tell you how to fix the country.
Yeah, these are a lot of your average leftists on social media. This is pretty much exactly what they think. Let's run this one again. This is really funny, actually.
I'm in debt. I'm obese. I'm addicted to anime porn. I live in my mom's basement. And I'm confused about what gender I am. Now, let me tell you how to fix the country.
Well done. Putting that mirror in front of all of your TikTokers there, having their little meltdowns. In fact, I've got one here, another live one. Need more evidence that leftism is a mental disorder. Got a creepy, crazy-eyed Karen joking about assassinating Trump. Let's take a look. Well, Libs of TikTok is famous for finding these. Here's another one.
If you're struggling with your mental health, games can be a really great way to feel better. So I'm going to show you Super Mario Checkers and Cards Against Humanity. Let's just pull out a couple of pieces at random. Oh, look, it's Luigi. Everyone loves Luigi, right? We love Luigi. So let's pull out a question card here randomly. What makes life worth living? I'm going to get Luigi. Oh, he jumped there to hold on to that card. Let's see, picking out an answer.
This actually is kind of a clever setup, and that's a great game. Cards Against Humanity. I used to have a set. I think I lost it. Side issue.
Answer again at random. Oh, what's this one? Oh, that's awful.
Okay, assassinating the president. Okay, here we go.
Awful. It's a joke game. It's comedy, right? It's not
We think
serious.
this is a joke and comedy, but yes, it's very clever, but also very disturbing.
At all. Let's pick another card. Just I don't like that
Random
one.
card.
Let's see what this one has to say. Oh.
The M16 assault rifle.
Oh, that's terrible.
What makes life worth living? Apparently, in her mind, it's having somebody take out the president with an assault rifle while praising Luigi Mangione. The symbolism there. So, at one level, I kind of admire the creativity. She kind of sells it well, but it is also very disturbing. This is the way that they think. Making weird assassination jokes. These people have lost their minds. Stage 5 TDS. All right, what else do we have? One night, a Tesla vandalism. Another Tesla vandal. This one was right in my backyard. I actually used to have a condo in Arden Hills, Minnesota. Who knows? That might even be the parking lot that I used to live in. I don't know, but it's showing this mother and her kids apparently hate Tesla. They're all wound up, getting poisoned by the media. And here we go. Uh-oh. So it's like, there we go. They've trained for this. Like, they're in the car, they see a Tesla, and then she tells their kids, like, yeah, we're gonna do something here. Look at that Tesla owner, as if that Tesla owner is automatically some MAGA Elon fan, which probably 75% chance it wasn't. So look at that. The little girls flicking off. I guess they were supposed to run cover. Looks like a planned assault. The kids are going to get in front of the camera while mom keys the car. Yeah, that'll teach them. Way to teach your kids just hate and violence. Oh, yeah, look at that. Just terrible. Yeah, way to go, mom. I don't know. That's a mess. And there's another one in Minnesota, down in Bloomington, South Minneapolis. Got a Minnesota police chief now calling a Tesla vandal as a victim, because people were saying mean things about her online, and they will not be prosecuting. So this is a separate case. Now, Arden Hills is North St. Paul, and Bloomington is South Minneapolis. Different suburbs, different sections, but still in Minnesota.
Bloomington Chief Hodges here. Showed you this video last week of this person scratching his Tesla.
Foods and some other disturbed woman just triggered on site by somebody having a Tesla in the parking lot while they're buying groceries.
And like SpongeBob said here,
you have to go out of your way to go and key their car. I can't imagine this happening in a different situation. Even if George Soros was like, I don't know, had a car company, would I just automatically just be so mad? I'm going to see it in a parking lot and I'm going to look around, make sure nobody's looking at me, and key a swastika in the car. I don't understand the mentality. It's fascinating, but disturbing.
Thanks to everybody's help, we were able to identify them. The suspect here is a woman in their late 20s. They turned themselves in. They were brought in with their family. They've been fully cooperative. The victim in this case just wanted their car fixed, and they just wanted the suspect to pay for that.
Yeah, so it was probably a NPR listening. It was a Karen that was a Democrat, and said, oh, by the way, yeah, I'm a Democrat with you. Yeah, we're both listening to the same NPR. We both love Maddow. Can you not key my car? Or is she forced to sell it so people don't attack her? Just ridiculous. So she got off easily, and I guess now she's the victim. Give me a break. Anyway, we won't run that anymore. But yeah, the disturbing trend, more Tesla terror, and they still haven't got the memo that there's cameras all over the cars, so they will be found. Okay, well, what else do I have? That's about the end. We're at the end of the show. Quick show. Maybe I can throw this last one out there. You suddenly woke up and realized it was 1995. What's the very first thing you would do? I gotta get that volume out of there so I don't trigger the copyright. Not that I'm trying to monetize things. Miss those days. Wake up, it's 1995. The last 30 years were a dream. What's the first thing that you would do? I don't know. 1995, I guess I'd have to survive high school. That would be about that time. Invest lots of money into Apple and Bitcoin and what have you. Use my knowledge of the future to enrich myself. And then I think I would not at all get involved with the media. It's a big waste. You tried, But you just can't change people's minds, unfortunately. I think I would have learned my lesson there. Although I do enjoy these broadcasts. Maybe it's archiving these things for future generations if we survive, if our civilization manages to get out of this situation, we survive the tariffs and don't destroy each other in a civil war or what have you, or go back into some sort of global fascist era, or a Hunger Games scenario, or a pole shift, or any number of other things that could derail everything. I don't know. Probably just go live quietly rich somewhere off the grid and stay away from everything. It's unfortunate. So much promise, so much hope back in 1995. We were on our way to some bright, beautiful future. Let's get the globalists off our back. And we'd have a bright, I don't know, new American era and so many other things. But wow, things really changed since then. 95, and the 9/11 catastrophe, and then the Obama era, radicalizing all the leftists. And now, I don't know. We shall see. Try to hold some optimism for the future, but sometimes I just don't know. But, oh well, it's been fun. But, all right, I think that's all I got. So, the end of the show. And since it was kind of a slow news day, I don't know, maybe I'll do a spontaneous show Saturday or Sunday, assuming there's some interesting breaking news. Of course, I'll be following all this economic mess we have with all the tariffs and the market going down, the latest meltdown. I don't know, but there's always something new and exciting. So, but anyway, that's all I have. So I do thank you all for tuning in. And Jane and anybody watching at the replay or lurking out in the back, please like and subscribe, and we'll do it all again. I'll be back next Tuesday for sure, and we'll see if there's going to be a spontaneous weekend show depending on what we have available. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you so much. Love you guys, and we will see you next time. I'm out.